So let's talk about the course objectives for this session. We'll be looking at what is recruitment. We'll be looking at the importance of recruitment. We'll be talking about we'll be listing the sources of external recruitment. We'll be listing the sources of internal recruitment. We'll be talking about the various approaches to recruitment. We'll be explaining the recruitment process. We'll be listing the factors affecting recruitment process. We'll explain the stages of recruitment. And then we'll talk about the selection process. After which we'll talk about the various selection tests. Then we'll talk about the types of interview. Then we'll talk about how to develop good interview skills. We'll talk about explaining body language cues in interviews so that you get to know how, when you begin to bore somebody or when somebody is lying about something and stuff like that. And then we talk about the qualities of a good recruiter. And then we round up with the exact theme of this module, how to become a talent acquisition specialist. Are you excited for this class? I'm sure I am. Yeah, Mr. Simon said, I'm super excited about this module. Let's go. All right, so let's talk about it. You must have noticed many organizations around you. So what makes up an organization? What makes up an organization? Can we talk about this? What makes up an organization? When we say this is an organization, what are some of the things that make up the organization? Can we have some comments in the comment section? Remember, our class is always interactive, and never be afraid of giving your answers. They would always be correct one way or the other. Okay. Okay, I'm checking the chat room. Yes, the team, the employee, very correct. Yes, thank you, Kate Smith. The employee, yes. Any other comments? In fact, everyone in the space of the organization, that's correct too. That's correct too. So, yeah, Professor Taiwo said, leader and followers, employer and employee, organizational structure, powerful. Ify, I hope you're my namesake, said executives, that's correct. Including all the machinery, and tools in the organization, that's correct. So when we talk about an organization, these are the common things we see. It includes the infrastructure, the raw materials, the finance, the human resource, which includes all the employees. So those are a number of things that we get to see. Now, it will help you to understand that if you do not have the human resources required to work and run the organization, then the organization cannot exist. As a matter of fact, there is no organization without human beings, without the personnel who work in that organization. So human resources of the or the employees of an organization are its most valuable assets. So if you are an employee to any organization, even if they have not told you, I am telling you right now, this afternoon, that you are the most valuable asset your organization has. How about that? Okay. So there's a question, do all organizations require the same kind of people? The answer is absolutely no. Each organization requires employees with a different skill set, experience, and abilities. I've said this before, right? Moreover, the people required to work within the different departments of an organization itself, such as the HR, the sales department, the marketing department, the operations department, the quality control department, should possess different skill sets, experiences, and abilities. These qualities depend upon the function that the employee is required to perform within the organization, within the department in the organization. Okay, So finding a person to do the job is not enough. In fact, it is crucial to have the right person for the right job. This is where the art of recruitment skills comes into play. So everything we've been trying to say is that we need to find a way, a process through which the right person is hired for the right job. So recruitment skills are as much as an art as it is a science. So there's a science to it and there's an art to it. By using efficient recruitment skills, a recruiter can find the right person for the right job. Many organizations are suffering because the wrong people have been found for the right jobs. And when a wrong person is found for the right job, it never makes it right. Okay? Therefore, it is important to find the right person for the right job, as the job will be done more efficiently with great quality by the right person to do it. So there is a right person for the right job. And as a human resource professional, one of your key responsibilities is recruitment. So if one of your key responsibilities is recruitment, you have to find out an efficient and effective way of recruiting the right person for the right job. So it is therefore important that the recruiter develop and use the right recruitment skills to match the right person for the right job. So quickly, let's head into the matter of the day. What is recruitment? That's what we're going to look at. What is recruitment? So recruitment is simply the process of attracting a group of people from within. Remember, this within comes in again. So the emphasis is on making sure that you look inward before you begin to look outward. Many people have missed out on great opportunities, on great talents within their organization, simply because they were busy looking outward instead of looking inward. There are hidden talents, there are hidden potentials within your organization at this very moment. If you're running a business, there are skills, knowledge, abilities that people who work with you already have that you may not have known. That is why in the first session, I talked about a skills inventory. You need to find out what skills, what relevant knowledge, skills, and abilities do my employees have? And what other skills are they working on? And it should be updated from time to time. So recruitment is the process of attracting a group of people from within or outside of an organization for a job vacancy and identifying and hiring the best qualified candidates, not the closest to my family, not the one that I like her face or the one I like her shape. That is not the reason. The best qualified candidate is the one that is hired in the most timely and cost-effective manner. And that is what we know as what? Recruitment. So when you are hiring, you have to hire considering the qualifications on ground, the qualifications necessary to be able to have what? The best qualified candidate in a most timely and cost-effective manner. That's what recruitment is all about. So this definition is really all-encompassing and very understandable. Thus, a recruitment policy within an organization defines the quantity and quality of manpower needed in that organization. The recruitment policy will also give guidelines for the staffing process, because the guidelines for the staffing process will be impersonal. It will not be personal. It will not be looking at what how the person looks, how the person talks. It will be looking at who is your father or who is your mother, who are you connected to. All of that will not be considered, which is exactly what is happening in and around us. So an effective recruitment program aims at attracting the best people for the job and finding the right fit for every job. So let's look at what is the importance of recruitment. Why is recruitment important? Recruitment is a very important function within any organization. This is due to the fact that people are the most important assets of any organization. In fact, there is no organization better than the people in it. So the quality of the people is the quality of the organization. Hence, finding the right people to do the various jobs within any organization is very, very important. This is why recruitment and selection of people or employees is the major function of the human resource department. So if you are here and you are a human resource professional, it is pertinent that you know that this is key. This is a key function of the human resource personnel. So the right talent of people helps to provide a crucial competitive strength and competitive advantage to any organization. Also, the recruitment process is the first step towards the strategic advantage for the organization. Have you heard the saying that a company of lion led by a sheep will be defeated by a company of sheep led by a lion? Now, which of these do you believe? Do you believe that a company of sheep led by a lion will be defeated by a company of sheep led, or a company of lion led by a sheep, or vice versa? Which one do you believe? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know, what do you think? Which one will defeat the other? Which one will defeat the other? Yeah, looking at the comment section now, I'm seeing some comments I missed out on. Prof said an organization entails both the living and non-living parts of the organization, ranging from the office to the occupants. Okay. Isaac Oluson said organization entails the following: common purpose, coordinated effort, division of labor, hierarchy of authority. Powerful. Thank you, Mr. Isaac. Sam, I was asking a question. Which one do you believe? Okay, Professor Taiwo said the one led by a lion will defeat that led by a sheep. Okay. Mr. Simon said lion leading the sheep. Which category? Will it be the one that is defeated or the one that is defeated? Let us know. Make your answers clear. So while work on that, okay, Mr. Isaac said a company of sheep led by a lion would defeat the company of lion led by a sheep. You see, that's why we're looking at recruitment, because imagine a sheep. Imagine a sheep. Okay, Mr. Isaac said a company of sheep led by a lion would defeat, yeah, the company of lion led by a sheep. Yes. So imagine a sheep being recruiting lions, or a lion recruiting sheep. Mr. Simon said, please, lion-led team would defeat. Yeah. That is why, as a human resource professional, you are meant to be a lion, not in the sense of firing people or destroying people, but you should be able to be visionary, to be able to know how to find the right man for the right job, the right woman for the right job. And this is very, very key. So recruitment process involves a systematic procedure from sourcing the candidates to arranging and conducting the interviews, and it requires many resources and also time. Now, there are different sources of recruitment, and we're going to be looking at them. The various sources of recruitment can be categorized as follows. So basically, we have internal source of recruitment, and we have external source of recruitment. So we're looking at each of them in details, all right? Now, let's look at the internal source of recruitment. The internal sources of recruitment arise mainly from the employees within the organization. I think I've overflogged this point today already, right? So hence, the internal candidates or the employees of an organization are promoted to fill a job vacancy. Such recruitment is generally practiced for higher level jobs, okay? Now let's talk about the external. The external sources of recruitment arise mainly from candidates from outside sources who are then hired to fill a job vacancy. Such recruitment is generally practiced for lower level jobs or for vacancies where the required criteria for the job are not fulfilled by any internal employee of the organization. So this is the same thing I've just been hammering on like since morning. So we have to look at the internal source of recruitment before we look at the external. And when we check out for the external is basically when there are no lower level jobs, there are no internal people to be able to fill up that position. So we now begin to look for people externally, okay? So let's talk about the sources of external recruitment, and then we'll talk about the sources of internal recruitment. Some of the sources of the external recruitment are, like we said earlier, advertising, employment agencies, schools, colleges, and professional institutions, casual applicants, referrals, social networking sites. So these are places where we get most of our external recruitment sources from. All right, so let's talk about the internal recruitment sources. The various sources of internal recruitment are as follows: transfers. Maybe someone moves from a particular branch to another branch, or move from branch to headquarters and stuff like that. Transfers is one of the way through which we have internal recruitment. Another one is promotion. People move from one level of job to a higher level of job. Another one is demotion. So somebody can be demoted to fill a lower job level, okay? Then another one is upgrading. Somebody can upgrade their certificate, get more qualification, and then subsequently be upgraded to fill a new vacant position. Another one, let's as a human resource professional, it is advised that you can use social networks extensively to carry out research about a candidate. First, you should peer into a person's entire social identity. See what they are saying on Facebook. See what they are doing on Twitter. See what they're doing on LinkedIn. If you take a look, if you do your proper research as a human resource professional, there are many surprises, negative surprises you will not have in your job. So make sure to read their online identity. This will help you to know what they really are and not just what they have written in their resume. You might see somebody who is always attacking organization, attacking leadership, attacking superiors. Of course, you know that this is already in this person's nature. So most likely this person is going to give you a whole lot of trouble when the person is employed, because this person will always be having insubordination charges all the time, simply because this person does not know how to relate with a superior. So there are several things. People, yes, background check, that's what it's called. Do a thorough background check. Yes, thank you, Omokev Edegan. Let me just use Edegan, please. That way we will not offend, I will not offend you by misspelling your name. Yeah, thank you, Philippa, for your response. So background check is very essential. Now let's do something. I have a multi-choice question. And I'd like you to give me the answer. Are you ready? Which of the following is not an external source of recruitment? We just talked about internal sources of recruitment, and we talked about external sources of recruitment. So which of the following is not an external source of recruitment? Can you give me the answer in the chat room? Give me the answer in the chat room. Let's know who is going to get the answer correct. Let's know who is going to get the answer now. I'm trying to hold my breath so I don't say right or wrong. So some people will not just start copying other people's answers. It seems everybody's just saying the right thing. All of you are correct. So transfers is not an external source of recruitment. I was like, okay, let me just keep quiet. Let me not say this person is correct or that person is correct, so that I will get one person that will give the wrong answer, and then voila, everybody got it right. So can you clap for yourself? I wish there was a way for us to digitally clap for ourselves. But if you have a clap emoji, please go ahead and send it in the chat room. That is you clapping for yourself, okay? Go ahead, send it, send it, send it, send it, send it. Send a clap emoji. Professor Taiwo said you have taught us so well, so no reason to miss it. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you so much, Prof. So we are correct. Transfers. Yes, I like all the hands clapping. Thank you so much for clapping for yourself. So let's look at the various approaches to recruitment. One of the approaches to recruitment I'd like us to take a look at is interview. Interview. Now, in order to meet the overall goal of recruitment strategy and the recruitment program, every organization uses many different approaches to recruitment. Hence, most organizations will use a combination of 2 or more of the recruitment approaches to be able to meet its recruitment goals. So let's talk about the various approaches used in recruitment. Number 1, internal recruiters, employee referral, employment agencies, traditional agencies, niche recruiter, executive search firms, or headhunters. All of these are different approaches to recruitment. Which one do you choose? Which one do you prefer to use? Sometimes there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Sometimes you might need to use a combination of 2 or 3 different approaches. But in it all, what is most important is that you're able to find the right person for the right job. Okay? Experts say that one of the best ways to recruit is by building your candidate pool before you need it. And I said that in the first session. This is because when a recruiter tends to select new employees from walk-in candidates or from those who respond to an online or newspaper ad, he tends to miss out on the best candidates. So having a candidate pool is a proactive measure on the side of a human resource professional. So it's a proactive measure on the side of a human resource professional to be able to have a candidate pool. So, like I said in the first session, when you are a human resource professional, just make sure that you don't throw away CVs that come in. Okay, so there are times that you already have surplus. You're even looking for how to reduce the number of redundant employees within the organization. You don't even need people coming in, but people will see your organization and want to apply. So keep gathering those CVs. One day you would need them, and it's possible too that by the time you want to need them, they may not be available, but at least you have something to work with. So you can build a database that forms your candidate pool in the following ways. This is how you do it. Number 1, by developing long-term relationships with university placement offices, okay, and recruiters and executive search firms, okay? And then secondly, you keep a watch on online job boards. Keep a watch on online job boards. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, I was trying to admit someone in. Okay, so secondly, keep a watch on online job boards or job sites for candidates who have posted their resumes, even if they are currently not looking for any change. Okay, use forums and association websites and magazines to also advertise. Now, this video, I'll be copying out the link and I'll send it to our platform, the WhatsApp group, so that we can play and watch later. Let's talk about the recruitment process. The following are steps involved in the recruitment process. Remember, there's a process, there's a way to do something to be able to have optimum results. So the recruitment also has a process, and this process is something you need to internalize as a human resource professional. Number one, identifying the vacancy. How do we go out to recruit when we don't even know that there is a vacancy? So you have to identify what vacancy do we have? What areas are lacking? What aspects of this our organization needs more manpower, needs more human resource? Okay, so you identify a vacancy in any organization, in any function within the organization. Number two, prepare a job description. Because if you do not prepare a job description, when you see the right person, you will not even know that this is the right person. You will not even know because you have not prepared. You've not talked about the skill set, the behavioral skills, the experiences, the job responsibilities that you need for that function within the organization. Number three, you can advertise the vacancy. This advertisement can be in the newspaper, it can be in job portals, it can be through the intranet, your WhatsApp groups of people in your organization, so that they can refer people they know, or even notice boards within the organization, so that if there are people within your organization who are qualified, they can fill in for those positions. Now, number four, you need to manage all the responses. I see many organizations who put out stuff online, and when they do put out stuff online, they don't even check the comments. And it's really so annoying. So why are you advertising on social media if you're not ready to do or to respond to the comments? So you have to respond to the comments. You have to find out those who are sending you the CVs. Make them know that we have received your CV and we'll get back to you accordingly. So manage the response received in the form of applications, calls, resumes. Respond accordingly. And next one, you have to shortlist candidates. In shortlisting candidates, what are you doing? You are sorting out the eligible and suitable candidates from the total number of resumes received. So it is not every resume received that will be shortlisted. It means that this set of people, they have the required skill based on what you see on paper, that they can be considered. That's what shortlisting means. And then number six, arranging for interviews. You have to arrange for interviews at a convenient date and a convenient time, all right, with each shortlisted candidate. Number seven, you have to conduct interviews. Conduct an interview with each of the shortlisted candidates. Give them equal opportunities, equal chances for them to be employed or recruited. Number eight, you have to make decisions. You have to make a decision. Even if you have so many qualified candidates, you still have to make a decision. You have to finally choose and decide the best suited candidate for the job and make an offer to him or her, as the case may be. Okay, so let's talk about the factors affecting recruitment process. The factors affecting recruitment process. There are factors that affect it. Let's find out what those factors are, and we'll be looking at each of them in detail. There are two major factors that affect the recruitment process. The first one is the internal factor, and the second one is the external factor. So we're going to be looking at the internal factors that affect recruitment. I'll be looking at the external factors that affect recruitment. So join me as we delve in. Let's talk about the internal factors, okay? What are the internal factors that affect recruitment? Number one is the recruitment policy of the organization. What does the organization believe? Like, let me give you an example. Like some organizations that are women-based, maybe they see to the affairs of women and stuff like that, might say that in their organization, they focus on women. Okay, so their focus is on women. If that happens, it's an internal factor that will affect the recruitment, because automatically any male that is seeking for employment in an organization will certainly not get it, because their focus is on is women based. The other day I received a UN call for vendors. Okay, UN call for vendors for different aspects. UN Women Nigeria call for vendors, and I noticed that in one of the requirements for eligibility is that the business has to be a woman-based business. So you see, this is already an internal factor, and it's affecting, it's a recruitment policy, and it's affecting the recruitment of the organization. Okay. Secondly, the size of the organization. A complex and large organization will recruit differently from a small owned business. Thirdly, the number of employees employed will also affect the recruitment. Okay. Number 4, the cost involved in recruitment. No organization will want to spend all of their money just trying to recruit people. So the cost is also something to look into. Now, next, we look at the growth and expansion plan of the organization. Where does this organization want to get to? What is their expansion plan? Where are we going to? Like Dr. Benito said in the introductory section, what is our vision? What is our mission? How large do we want to become? How big do we want to get to? These are the things that will affect the kind of people and the kind of people and the number of people that we recruit. So it will affect the quality and it will affect the quantity of recruitment. So let's talk about the external factors. The external factors. Now, the external factors that affect recruitment include demand and supply of a specific skill set. So when we look out for a particular skill set and it's not readily available, okay, because of that, the demand, the supply will be low, okay, and the demand will be higher, but the supply will be lower, okay. So the other one is political and legal considerations, such as reservation of jobs for reserved categories. Another one is the perception of the company's image by job seekers. If your company is already known to be a company where people slave at work, okay, your workers are not taken care of, they are owed salaries, no matter how much you put up advertisement, people will just look and pass, okay. They'll look and pass because nobody wants to suffer, especially in this era, in this our world, where people say, I want to relax and be taken care of. So they want to relax and be taken care of. They don't want to suffer. This our generation is so impatient. The previous generation could take anything, they could, but this generation is so impatient. That is why we see a lot of ritual killings here and there. We see a lot of vices and rubbish things just to make money. Everything is not about money. So in this particular case, another that affects recruitment is the perception. What do people perceive your organization as? What do people perceive your company as? Okay, do they see it as a place where people can find their feet and be useful and achieve and move forward, or do they see it as a place that stagnates and uses people? Okay, so this is very, very key. Did you know that any organization will attract the best pool of talent if it maintains and also showcases its image of being a great employer? Thus, an organization should look at its policies and practices for employee retention, motivation, accountability, reward, recognition, flexibility in work-life balance, promotion, and involvement. These are the things that when you look into as a human resource professional, believe you me, your organization will be better for it. Hence, as a recruiter, you can always use these key areas to prove that your organization is a great place to work. It's a great place to work. A particular young man just met me like last week, and he was telling me that he was glad that he left his previous place of work. So I was asking, what was the difference of your former place of work and this place? He said that no matter what he did in his former place of work, he was never appreciated. It was the scientific theory of management that made it look like human beings are machine, like the machine theory. They focused on productivity, efficiency, effectiveness. That was all they focused on. I forgot that human beings have feelings, that human beings want to be treated right. Everybody wants to belong to a place where what they do matter. Okay? Everybody wants to feel like they matter. Help me just teach it in the comment section. Just type people matter. People matter. Please type it. Everyone type it. Everyone type. So that you can remain awake and alert. People type, okay? So people matter. Yeah, thank you, Kate Smith, for being the first person. Yes, thank you, Favor O'Connell. All right. Yeah, thank you, Ebun Imani. People matter. Yeah, people matter. So make people know that they really matter. Their presence is important. Yes, thank you, Alvin, Max, Cyprian, Yenpo. All right. People matter. So people want a place where they can be recognized, a place where they can be motivated, where they can have effective work-life balance. Your work is not the only thing they live for. Okay? Yes. Mr. Simon said, I matter. Oh, yes, you matter. You do matter. Yes, Edegan said people matter. Yes, Njideka, people matter. That's right. Hope Okoli, people matter. Yeah. Kate Smith said appreciation is very key. I agree with you. I agree with you. Oh, we have a landing camera. Please, landing camera, can you use your name, or you want me to be calling you landing camera? That's still okay, because even landing camera matters. Okay? So people matter. Yes, I matter too. So as a recruiter, you can always use these great keys, make people feel welcome, make people feel that they are comfortable. Remember, you're a human resource professional. And as a result, you are not just a slave master. Okay? You are not a slave master. You are there to make sure that people are working in good working conditions. Mr. Simon said that maybe landing camera is on spy job. Well, let's verify. Landing camera is okay. You can change your name if you can. If you can't, if that's okay by you, that's all we can refer you to as, because that's I'll mention your name based on what I see. Oh, landing camera said that's my name. Good and fine. Landing camera matters. Let's move. All right. So let's talk about the stages of recruitment. There are stages in recruitment, all right? And we're going to be looking at every one of them, one after the other, okay? We're going to be looking at them one after the other. And there are three basic stages. We have the pre-preparation stage, we have the interviewing stage, and we have the post-interview stage. All right, so we're going to be talking about these three stages of recruitment. Now, in the pre-preparation stage, we have agreed on what these vacancies are. And then we are also working on the job specifications, what is needed for this person to be employed. All right, so we're looking at the employee specification. What kind of person do we need? Do we need a person who is outspoken, who has great communication skills? Do we need somebody who can smile? All right. So do we need somebody who can? So there are job specifications. What academic qualification does this person need? Okay. What kind of exposure? What kind of knowledge and skills and abilities does this person need? So these are the things that we have to look out for. And with this, we'll be able to know who exactly we need to recruit. And then in the pre-preparation stage, we also look at the advertisement. Okay, so what platforms do we want to advertise on? Do we want to just put it in the company's notice board, or do we want to take it out into the newspapers? Do we want to just tell our employees to refer people that they know? Or do we want to tell, or do we want to outsource the recruitment? Okay, so these are the things that we should really look at. The second one is the interviewing stage. In the interviewing stage, what are we going to do? We're going to be screening the potential employees. We're going to be interviewing them. We're going to give them a second interview after the first interview, and then we're going to be making a decision. So these are the processes involved in the second stage called the interviewing stage. So in the third stage of recruitment, we have onboarding. So we help them to know what they are supposed to do or know at this job. We have the off-job training. Okay, then we also have the on-the-job training, and then we evaluate. So these are the processes involved in the three stages. Remember I said in three stages. Remember I said that the three stages are the pre-preparation stage, the interviewing stage, and the post-interview stage. So I'd like us to take a look at something different. In the course of this class, we have interacted, I have thoughts, and you have answered the multiple choice question, and we have taken care of a case study. And I want to bring another dimension to it. Let's look at a real life example. Are you ready for this? Let's go. This real life example is going to help us to understand the importance of screening of resumes. Okay, let's do this. So here we see Hazel and we see David. Hazel and David are two HR executives who take care of the recruitments in Helios Incorporated, a reputed software company. While recruiting for a job, Hazel shortlists lesser number of candidates, whereas David shortlists many candidates and sends them for an interview with the manager of the relevant team. It has been noticed by the management that the candidates shortlisted by Hazel for interviews get selected with about 95% success rate. On the other hand, the candidates shortlisted by David get selected with only about 20% success rate. So what is the reason for such a huge difference in the success rate of Hazel and the success rate of David? Can you guess already? If you can guess in the comment section, guess in the chat room. I want to see your guesses. Okay? All right, so I looked at this chat room now and I saw Billy David Abano said, you need more explanation on employee specification. What I mean by employee specification is that we want to know what are the specific academic qualifications, the specific height, the specific age bracket, okay, what are the specifics, what are the details needed for somebody who wants to employ. Assuming you want to, you have a firm that's maybe like Crunchies. Is Crunchy still in the market? What's the commonest now? Chicken Republic. Okay, so you have you are the human resource professional at Chicken Republic, and basically who you want, the vacancies that exist is the vacancy for the cooks, and you want people that will be able to reproduce those chickens in the exact taste, with the exact taste, okay, with the exact recipes that has always been used. Now you're not going to look for somebody who the only thing they know how to do is to cook Indomie. Okay, because that's not what you need. So you're going to look specifically somebody who knows how to cook rice and make it soft, somebody who knows how to fry chicken and fry with the same recipe. So that's basically in the same way. If you have an organization that is into car repair, okay, you have an organization that fixes car, you look for somebody who has a skill set in that area. So that is employee specifications. You're looking out for as things exactly. Okay, so let's go back to Hazel and David. Now I have a response from Hope Okole. She said, I don't know, is it she? Okay, Hope Okole said, it's obvious Hazel took her time to screen the resumes before sending to the various departments for interview. That's correct. That's absolutely right. Hope, you are very, very correct. But David did not. So that is the challenge. And because of that, because Hazel did a thorough work, her the people, her candidates, would always get 95% success rate. Well, because David is doing a very shallow work, he doesn't even have time to go through the details. He's bringing up people who are not even qualified for the interview in the first place. So this is very, very key. Thank you so much, Hope Okole, for that very intelligent answer. So one of the key reasons that Hazel's shortlisted candidates got the job, get the job majority of the times. One of the key reasons that Hazel's shortlisted candidates get the job majority of the times is because she takes a lot of care and spends major part of her effort in the screening process, whereas David does not pay attention to the screening process. So let's look at how Hazel and David carry out the screening of resumes for the following vacancy of a technical writer in the Learning and Development department. Yes, thank you, Landing Camera. Landing Camera said that David did not screen well, where Hazel did a thorough job. So thank you, Landing Camera, for that comment. So that's just what it is. So let's take a look at how Hazel and David carried out their screening of the resumes for the following vacancy of a technical writer in the Learning and Development department. What did they do that made them get different results? What did they do differently? Okay, let's take a look. A technical writer is required with a minimum of 3 years experience to work as part of a writer's team in the Learning and Development department. It is essential that a technical writer should be proficient in Adobe FrameMaker, as he or she will be extensively creating user manuals, online help, technical manuals, process guides, etc. Now, while carrying out the screening process, David does not analyze the requirements of the L&D team properly. He starts screening resumes based on the following skills: content writing, writing for websites, article writing, technical writing, copywriting, and editing. Ooh, sorry, let me share my slide. Ooh. Okay. Sorry, I clicked on a button and it took me to the very, very end. So I'm stepping back. Okay, we are here. So because of this, the candidates that David shortlisted and sent for interview greatly lack the core skills required by the L&D team. And the core skills they required was what? Yeah, so David does not take care to screen resumes based on the specifications mentioned by the L&D department. So the core skills that they required was simply skills that has to do with experience as part of a writer's team, because they will be proficient in Adobe FrameMaker. They have to create manuals, technical manuals, process guide, and stuff like that. But it's not everybody who writes article or who writes content writing that will be able to fit into that particular position. So he does not take the time, and because of that, see the result he got. He simply shortlists anyone who has any kind of writing or editing skills. You see that he did not consider that this is a core writing requirement. So people write, everybody cannot write the same thing, okay? Writing a manual to be able to use to teach is different from writing a lesson note in school. It's different from writing an article. It's different from writing a book. So there are different kinds of writing. Now, this was what David did not consider. David simply shortlisted anyone who can write just about anything. Moreover, he also did not make sure that the candidates that he shortlisted know how to work with Adobe FrameMaker. So that was what he did. And that was why he got the wrong results, okay? Now, Hazel, on the other hand, took utmost care while screening. So as she was screening the resumes sent by different applicants, she was very careful. She made sure that only those candidates with the following attributes are called for interview. Number one, you need to have a minimum experience of 3 years in technical writing. Number two, she needed candidates with experience and who are proficient in Adobe FilmMaker. Number three, she looked out for people who had prior experience of having created user manuals, online help, technical manuals, process guides before. Okay, so she also looked for people who had good writing abilities, which Hazel judges from the manner in which the resume is written. So because she was really particular about it, she was intentional about the people she screened, it was easy for them to get the job. Okay, so you can understand that out of the 8 candidates that David shortlisted and 3 candidates that Hazel shortlisted, it's obvious that Hazel's candidates had a greater chance of getting selected and hired by the people in the L&D team. So thus, you can understand that screening is crucial to the success of a recruiter. The more time and effort that a recruiter spends in the screening process, the more efficient he or she becomes. So let's talk about the selection process. This is very, very key. Selection process as it relates to recruitment and selection, okay? Now, the selection process involves these steps: the preliminary interview, selection test, employment interview, reference and background, selection decision, medical examination, job offer, employment contract, and evaluation. Okay, so if you want to employ, if you want to select, you must go through these processes. There should be a preliminary interview. Like somebody humorously said when I was talking about, oh, we getting couples who get married because they met in IIPM. He said, we are only hearing their voices, so we're not seeing their faces before somebody will go and marry Mary Amaka. Okay, so we laughed about it. It was really funny. But then it is also true when you're trying to recruit someone, you have to see the person. Okay, now in the issue of distance and stuff like that, there are other ways. People now do online interviews where you have to see at least see a portion of the person, if the face of the person. So there is need for you to have a preliminary interview. Selection test is something we are going to look at in-depthly. Okay, there are several selection tests that we have to look at and how it applies. Okay, then the employment interview, reference and background checks are so essential. We said that before. Then selection decision, you have to make up your mind and choose. You won't say, oh, there are plenty of them that are qualified. I now do many more. What was it called again? So you don't use a fleece, you actually make it scientific. Okay, your decision has to be a scientific decision. And then medical examination to make sure that you do not bring in somebody who has Ebola and transfer it to everybody in the organization, and then the organization dies off like that. Okay, job offer, very key. I have to give the person the job offer, then employment contract, and then reevaluate. Evaluation is key. It's something we have to do over and over again. Okay. So let's talk about the various selection tests. There are various selection tests that exist that human resource practitioners can actually use. Human resource professionals can use any of these tests. Now, for the sake of this particular session we are having, we may not be able to go into this test in details, but I like you to just screenshot this particular page, this particular screen, and then go back and study more. Okay, go back and study more. This will help you. This will give you lots and lots of insights into how to select. Okay, so let's talk about some common selection tests. Number one is the Thomas profiling. The Thomas profiling. This one, you use it to identify behavioral requirements for the job. So there are certain behaviors that are required for certain jobs. Let's say this job requires maybe a research job. Okay, you're looking for there's a vacancy in the research department. You really need to look out for somebody who is willing to try and try and try again. And even if the person does not get results, the person is willing to do what? To keep trying, to keep doing this work over and over again. So you need tenacity, you need resilience. Okay, you need tenacity, you need resilience. Somebody who will be willing, who will be dogged in their approach, who will not give up at every slight presentation of no result, okay, or disappointment. It was Thomas Edison who was said to have worked on the incandescent light bulb for 9,999 times. And when he was asked, why were you not why did you not give up? Why did you not get tired? Why did you not get worried? In fact, they asked him, is it true that you tried it in 999 times, 9,999 times and failed? And he said he did not see it as 9,999 failures. He simply saw it as 9,999 ways through which the incandescent light bulb cannot work. And that answer became an epic answer that has been talked about from generation to generation. So this is very, very key. This helps you to profile, the Thomas profiling helps you to identify behavioral requirements for the job. Now we have the MBTI. It helps you to understand the personality type. So there are different personalities, the sanguines, the melancholics, the cholerics, the phlegmatics, but you are able to understand the personality type. That's what it helps you to do. The PAPI is helps you to understand behavior in the workplace. Okay, then the 16PF, it helps you to measure personality factors. So the PF there is personality factors. Then the ASUFA, the ASUFA, helps in locus of control. Please do read up and get more understanding in this area, okay, when it comes to selection tests. All right, so I have a question from Ife Sonia Longe. She said, I have a question. Under the recruitment policy, is there a provision that accommodates payments in form of allowance for applicants during the preliminary interview and the post-interview stage? Of course, there are organizations that make room for that. Now, understand that the policy of one company will not be the same policy for another company. So, but if you are a human resource professional in an organization and people have to travel from their locations or their regions to come and go through your preliminary interview or even your post-interview stage. So you might, because remember we said that we're trying to work on the perception of our organization. We want to make sure that people see our organization as an organization that is a great employer, an organization where they will feel their needs will be met, they will have job satisfaction, an organization where the work climate is conducive, an organization that has a beautiful work culture. So this is what we want to push out to our external environment. And because of that, it's easy for us to readjust and work on our perception. And this is one of the great ways through which you can do that. If you're a human resource professional, you can suggest to the top management so that they can make allowances, provisions for those who travel from far places to come for interviews, okay, so that it will help them. Already with that, they will look forward to really working with the organization, and they will do everything to maintain that organization. Okay, Ehizoje Irebu said, I have a question. Please, can you just type the question in the comment section? And if it's something I can take now, I'll take. And if it's something I would have to take at the end of the class, I'll also do that. Yeah. Jenny Etta said, I keep being logged out. It's network. It's network. If you can improve your network source, it will help you, okay? It will help to take care of that problem. All right. So Etta Phillips said, has I understood more what the organization needed to be constant in their productivity? And you are right. You are very right. Okay. All right. So let's continue. Now let's share a tip. Use the rule. Past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior to select the most suitable candidates for the job. Some will say, oh, this is stereotyping. This is not giving people a chance. But it is a common saying that past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. Somebody will say, no, this is stereotyping. You are not giving people room for change. People change, people improve. But in as much as I agree that people change or people improve, you will not want to use your organization to test if they have improved, okay? You don't want to use your organization to test if they are now good people, okay? So if they are good, let them create new records that will also show that they are now good, so that when we look at their past behavior, we can see some record of good in it. Hence, you should always screen resumes and hire a person who has done an almost similar job in a similar industry, in a particular business climate, from a company with a similar culture, and who has also done similarly well. Okay, such a strategy will always help you to hire the best fit for the job and for your organization. This is a tip, and a tip worth taking note of. So let's talk about the types of interview. Now, but before we talk about the types of interview, I have a question. Okay. This question is from Ehizoje Irebu. He said, I applied for a project manager job that at the point of advertisement, the remuneration was 200 to 250,000 naira per month. But during the interview, they asked me what was my least that I can receive, and I said 200,000. But when the offer letter was sent, they said they put 150,000 as remuneration package. Please, what do I do? Because I accepted their offer and responsibility of job, but ask them to kindly step up the remuneration to 200,000 at least. So this is a typical case study, and I won't just want to give a one answer. So I'm going to open up our platform now. Everybody, I hope you have read their is it a he or she? Okay, you have read his question. Now you see, remuneration is negotiable. Okay, is okay. A she. Oh, so sorry. And you know, let me say this. It might look biased, but honestly, I have seen this happen with not less than 4 people I know, especially when they are females. So an advert is put out, and then possibly they're hoping for a male, and then they eventually find a male, and they feel that a female will do the job for a price that is lower. And when she's employed, they reduce. You are not the only one I've seen this happen to. And that might even make me believe that this is now a trend, and we should talk about it. Okay? Because if you check, and the entire pay, the gross pay, is not up to 200 as advertised, and they decide to pay you 150, unless they are paying 150 as the basic, okay? Unless the 150 is the basic, and then the other ones will be performance-based, because in recent times, I've been seeing that kind of employment contract where they tell you, we're going to pay you 200,000, or we're going to pay you 250,000 naira, but 150,000 naira will be your basic, and then the other amount of 150,000 will be the basic, and then maybe the 100,000 will now be performance based or stuff like that. I've seen that happen. So you have to be sure that you have checked the employment contract well, and then your stand, what you said is exactly how it is. So I like okay, somebody is even commenting. Okay, he said it is even for probation period. So these are things that we need to look into. Is this 150,000 naira paid to you because it is a probation period? Will it be increased after the probation period? Okay, these are things that we need to look into before we can say, oh, take it or don't take it and stuff like that. Loretta almost is telling you, do not accept any offer if you and the organization haven't concluded on the salary, and it must be documented in your offer letter. Also request to know what the net pay is so that you don't shoot yourself in the foot. And this is important. So you need clarification. I would suggest you go back to the human resource personnel, the people who interviewed you in the course of the job, and get clarifications, okay, before you can take any decision. Now, it is okay, you've accepted the job. That way you can also have access to them. Let them clarify to you. Is it because you are on probation that you're getting 150? Is it because they decided to renegotiate the remuneration after they saw you? Or is it because that this is just the net pay and there are other payments attached? So this is something you have to figure out and sort. Okay, let me take only one comment. Let me take one comment from Emanuela Ovumai. Please, I have asked you to unmute. Kindly unmute. You have our full attention.
Okay. Well done. Thank you for the class. Okay, so my take on this is, first and foremost, are you sure of the remuneration package offered? Is it clear? Was it clearly stated? Now, I have also seen people that say, okay, the gross is 200, the gross is 250, but they now start breaking it down, and then they're telling you, okay, 150 is your basic, but you are doing HMO, they're doing pension, and then it's being deducted and all that. That's one. If your bases are clear, if you're very sure of it, I would say for me, it tells me that that company already has a not so good working environment where they do not respect the value of the person coming in. And it is something that has also happened where they see someone that has value and they know what that value worth, but because the person does not know, they kind of, make the person feel as though the person is not as valuable. For example, I've heard a case where someone applied for a job, and then after the interview and all, they asked the person, what do you want? In fact, it actually happened to me. I've been out of work because I gave birth for a long time. So now I'm trying to go back, and there's that fear of having to start from the top, starting from the scratch, and you've lost time and all that. And then someone asked me of a sales job. And in my head, I just wanted to be, let me not be dragging for something. After all, I've not been in the working space for a long time, as in, officially, but I've been doing it unofficially. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I would do 200. And it was because the person was coming to me directly, and the person is a friend. And the person told me and said, for a job where the startup is 350, a lot of recruiters or companies do that, and they tend to hide. But the thing is, at the long run, you are going to discover that some people in that place are earning way more than you are earning, doing the same thing that you're doing. And you're going to end up having a bias against that company. And it happened in somewhere I'd worked before a long time ago. For me, it just tells me that that company do not have they don't, I don't know how to put it, but they don't have respect for the value of what the person is bringing into the table. It's not a function of gender. First and foremost, gender should not cut it. Two, if I'm coming for a position and you feel that I have not attained that place, it's for you to let me know this and this is what is expected, because I represent your company. So if probably you went and you were not dressed as nice, or you didn't look as you know, the way you spoke, and they just look and say, okay, maybe this person is coming from Idiroko. I thought this person is coming from Lekki, and then they decide to bring it down. It tells me they don't have value for what is being brought to the table. If it is probation, it's fine. But if it is not, and they told you, they asked you your last price and all that, that's fine. I had another job where I told them, this is the last amount I'm going to take. And they called me back. And while they were trying to say that, okay, I got the job and all that, and they'd like to have me on board, but based on what I mentioned, I was my lowest take home, that they cannot afford that, but this is what they are proposing. You know, I responded to them and I told them that I was not going to take the job, that it's fine, but I won't take the job based on so factor. It was later someone else called me and told me, but you're not going to be going to the office, so you're going to be working from home. I said, And I called them back and I said, okay, I just got clearer information, and based on this, I will take the job on with this remuneration package, because obviously I would not have to be going to the office all the way to VI. It's field work, so I have my time. It's remote job basically, and so that was fine. But if they are doing this already, it means that they are not valuing you as a person, as far as I'm concerned, and that tells me that in the long run, there's going to be issues in the company. There's going to be issues with you working in that place.
Wow, thank you so much, Emanuela, for your valuable contribution. Okay. Thank you so much for that. I believe Irebu Ehi Zoje, I'm not murdering this name. Ehi, okay, let's call it Ehi Irebu. I think that would suffice. So Ehi, I believe you know what to do now. There have been several suggestions on the platform. So I believe that you know what to do. Since you have accepted the job. Okay, you said I am okay, you're really tired of looking for a job, you just want to work. Okay, that's fine. But since you have accepted it, that's fine. You can now go up, follow up on your negotiation and see what works, and even clarity. Find out exactly, is this happening because I am on probation? Is it happening because of, find out why it is happening. Okay, I just hope it's not that bias I was talking about. I just hope it's not that bias. Yeah, Sikira Abdusalam, yeah. I just hope it's not the bias, because sometimes they put out a job, they know what's going to take. When they see a woman, they'll be like, what would this woman need this job for? Her husband will be taking care of her. All those kind of stereotypes and bias is really not okay. So everyone should be paid for the amount of work that they put in for this, based on the specification that they have given. Yeah, it's also possible that they've seen that she's this, that she really needs the job, and then they feel that they can take care of her because she's desperate for the job, and that shouldn't be the situation. Okay. Yeah, he said I was the only woman in the midst of 5 men. Okay, and they felt maybe they'll pity, they'll show pity, but let's not make assumptions. I never like assumptions at all. So let's just forget the assumptions and ask questions. Okay, find out exactly what's happening, find out why it is happening. Wow, he said, and I was the best. I believe you totally. So let's find out, get clarification. That will save you from assumptions. Okay. All right, so let's get back to what we're. Yes,
please, can I say something, please?
Yes, please.
All right. Sorry, I'm interfering with your class.
Not at all.
Just been listening to all the information going on in the background.
Please, I'm glad with the interference. So.
Sorry. Okay. First of all, let me quickly establish that this particular section is not on compensation and benefits management.
Yeah.
However, in interviewing, negotiation is part of the interview.
Yes.
Now, I made a comment on that particular question. You saw on advert 150 to 200, and then on your pay slip, you saw on your offer letter, you saw 150. Now, If you remember what we did last week on HR operations, the speaker or the facilitator spoke so much on compliance. There are a whole lot of organizations out there that don't practice HR. They don't have the best of HR practices. There is a whole lot of divergence in HR practice in organizations. So some of them have personnel management in place and they call it HR. And we also follow them to call it HR. Remember, in all of what we've been saying, when an offer letter is created, there need to be high level clarity from both the offerer and the offeree, so that there will be a level of understanding. That is one. Now, when organizations talk about benefits and compensation, we have different types and we have different levels. You have what we call the basic pay. You have the allowances and incentives. You have the total reward and others that come alongside, motivations and all of that. Now, when we talk about basic pay, I said, if organization is giving you a range of 150 to 200, there's a possibility that the basic pay could be 150, and then the 200 becomes the total remuneration or the total package, right? Why inside the total package, you have other benefits, maybe including things like pension, your ITF, your other levies that are accruing, social insurance benefit and all of that. But these things need to be highlighted in the offer letter so that the person knows. Somebody made mention of gross pay and net pay. So it's possible that the 150 could be your net pay and the 200 could be your gross. So by the time they do all the deductions, you have just 150 remaining. So you have to find out, okay? And then, okay, the person said the advert was 200 to 250, okay? Okay, the advert was 200 to 250, and then they gave you how much? Let me go back to that question. I thought I saw 150 to 200. It said, but let me see. 200 to 250,000. Okay. So how with what I'm saying, like I said initially, I pointed out that some organizations have bad HR practices. So you need to find out why it is so. Like someone recommended, now that you're in, you need to find out the 150, is it for because you're on probation, or is it the basic salary, or is it the total package? Okay, but I suppose that the HR need to have confirmed all of this in the offer letter. Now, why this is a personal experience is already providing us with a case study of what we are expected to do as HR professionals. All right, so when we go out there in our own workplaces, we want to give offer letters. We shouldn't have blanketed information, like we keep some open and then some are not open, and then you want the person to discover for his or herself what the basic pay is, what the net pay is, what the gross pay is, and all of that. We as HR need to put pens on paper and make sure that we are straight to the point. Accepting the offer from the beginning means that the person actually understands the nitty-gritties when it comes to compensation and benefits management within your organization. I think that's where I want to wrap it up, right? So you need to find out that 150, is it your basic pay? Is it your total reward? Is it your gross? What exactly is it? Okay. And then the 150, is it based on probation? You need to ask questions. Okay. When we are looking for a job, we shouldn't really be desperate. Someone mentioned that if you don't know your value, they are going to undervalue you. That's just a simple thing. But as HR, we shouldn't capitalize on that because that is an anti-HR practice. Okay. When we see such practices come into place, it simply means they are just practicing personnel management, not human resource management. And on this note, I will surrender and leave this classroom now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Banito. That was very, very helpful. All right. So, Ehi, you have to go back. I saw you said there's no HR in the organization. It's just admin and finance. So maybe go to the admin. They will likely be the people who interviewed you, and let them know so that they can just ask for clarification. That's all you have to ask. It is after.
So in that case, sorry, if it is just admin and finance, that consummates the point I'm trying to make, that they are just playing based on personnel administration, not HR practice. Okay, so invariably there is no HR practice or there is no HR principle within the organization. All they are running is to make more profit and then just manage people as students, provided you can provide more profit and then at a reduced cost, why not? We can hire you. So that's what they are simply working with. Okay, maybe with time you need to suggest to them or recommend the introduction of human resource management in that organization. Because if this continues, there is going to be a whole lot of, for people who have information, there's going to be a whole lot of litigations. There's going to be a whole lot of HR conflicts. People might end up dragging them to industrial court, and then you'll be wondering, is it not the good I want to do? Sometimes, and most often, when it comes to profession, we need to pay attention to standards. We need to pay attention to codes of ethics. Okay, so you need to educate them on this, but please note, educating them on this, not from the harsh perspective. You need to make it as observations and then recommendations. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Benito. That was very helpful. All right, so here I believe you know what to do. If you have further need for, after clarification and you have need for further help or suggestion, I'll recommend you reach out to Dr. Benito. He would help you in clarify stuff. Okay. All right. So that's it. Yeah, Emanuela is saying something in the comment section. Said I think they use the 200 to 250 to drag people in that can manage the job and then get good enough candidates. So if they say 100 to 150 there are some qualified people that won't look at the job twice and walk away. Well, whatever we could be saying will just be assumptions. The most clear thing for her to do is to just walk up to the admin and let them just explain to you well. That way we remove assumptions and you will know exactly what to do. Okay. All right. So with that, we wrap up that question. You see why I usually don't like taking questions in between the classes, because it can drag us all out till we don't have any time left to complete our topic, but we will. Let's move on. Okay, so we're talking about types of interview. So we have several types of interview, but for the sake of this particular course, we'll be looking at 3 of them: one-on-one interview, sequential interview, and panel interview. So when it comes to recruiting, we're going to be looking at just the one-to-one interview, the sequential interview, and then the panel interview. Now, in the one-to-one interview, only 2 participants are present, the interviewer and the candidate. In the sequential interview, it involves a series of interviews, like the candidate moves from one room to another room. So you might come in, meet the first person. After they are done, you go to another person. Then after they are done, then you meet the third person, like that. That's sequential interview. And then the panel interview has to do with 2 or more interviewers with just one candidate, okay? It's like a formal kind of interview. So all of them are okay, depending on the kind of positions you want to fill. So you go ahead and conduct the relevant interview needed, the relevant kind of interview needed for that vacancy position to be filled, okay? So let's talk about how to develop good interview skills. Now, conducting an interview is a core responsibility of every recruiter. It is important to bear in mind that a successful interview depends on characteristics of both the interviewer and the candidate. So there are 2 parts to conducting an a successful interview. And the first part is the pre-interview preparation. The second part is conducting and managing the interview process. And we're going to be looking at the two parts involved in conducting a successful interview. Let's look at each of them in details. Now, for the pre-interview preparation, there are a few preparations that you need to make as a recruiter to make sure that the interview goes smoothly and successfully. The following are a few key points that you should bear in mind for pre-interview preparations. Number one, you need to have clarity about the kind of skill sets, capabilities, attitudes, behavioral characteristics required for the job. We've said this before. Secondly, you have to keep a list of the core questions that need to be asked to every candidate. Don't come to an interview as a human resource professional. You say, I've forgotten the question I want to ask you, or you start scratching your head. Or you start scratching your head and say, oh, I can't remember the question I wanted to ask you. So as a human resource professional, write out those questions. Keep that list. Keep that list so that when you get to that place, when you get to the interview, you'll be able to ask the relevant questions, okay? Then number three, keep a hard copy or soft copy of the candidates ready, okay? Before the interview to be assessed, a hard copy or soft copy of their CV ready so that before the interview, so that you can easily assess it during the interviewing process. So you'll be asking all the questions that are already on the CV. You can ask them other questions, or you can ask confirmatory questions in the course of the interview. So go through the interviews, the candidate's resume carefully and make a note of questions based on what they have given, based on what gaps that need to be filled in the CV, okay? Clarifications and doubts that need to be taken care of. You go ahead and ask the candidate, okay? Also select a peaceful ambience and a room for conducting the interview. Don't bring a candidate to a place where there's so much distractions, okay? You are pursuing fly and you are telling it, oh, this mosquito, and then you're asking questions. Don't do that, okay? Make sure that the place where the person is to be interviewed, there's a peaceful ambience. The radio is not on, the phone is not on, the television is not too loud, and the person say, come again, come again, come again. Meanwhile, you should have just reduced the volume on the television set or the volume of the radio. So please make sure the ambience is peaceful. Also, make sure that the selected room is available to you during the time of the scheduled interview. Make sure to block and reserve the room in advance, if necessary, so that both you, the interviewer, and the interviewee will not be outside behind locked doors and say, the person with the key for where we'll do the interview is not around. That's being unprofessional, okay? So that shouldn't be the case at all. So give a reminder to the candidate 1 day prior to the interview and reconfirm his attendance. I believe you should give the person a reminder earlier, let the person know, like give the person ample time, and then let there be another reminder a day prior to the interview. Before each interview, quiet your mind and mentally prepare for an hour of concentration and observation and alertness, so that you'll be able to see the things that are not easily seen, okay? So you'll be able to see things that need to be seen in the course of the interview. Now, conducting and managing the interview process is the second one. Now, this is one of the most important parts of the interview process. The success of an interview would ideally depend upon the interviewer as well as the candidate. The following are a key few points that you should bear in mind for conducting and managing the interview process. Number one, be actively present in the interview. Don't be in the interview and your mind is somewhere else, okay? Do not go into autopilot mode. In the autopilot mode, You are just talking. You're not considering if the person you are interviewing is saying anything or even responding, or the other way around, or the person you are interviewing is just talking and just doing their own thing, and you are not also following. So this is very, very important. All right, please, can I beg a minute? My power source just went off. Let me fix my laptop. All right, so yeah, my power source is on. So don't go into autopilot mode. Another one, question at length. Okay, ask relevant questions. Don't begin to ask a lady questions about her personal stuff, her personal life, or stuff like that. Keep your questions, be articulate, okay? Another one, build rapport. There are people who come into an interview room and they are tensed. You can visibly see pressure on them. So make them feel comfortable. Say something that can make them smile so they can relax and answer your questions without tension. Smile and maintain eye contact, okay? Control your body language. Whether you are aware or not, whether you know or you don't know, there is a body language you emit, directly or indirectly. So whether you know it or not, your body is saying something. Your body movement, the way you are talking, the way you are relating to somebody, you are saying something with your body. So control your body language. Make sure that what you are displaying with your face, your arms, your hands, your feet are all in tandem with what you are actually saying or responding. So you should as a person going conducting the interview process, you should be able to sense the candidate's communication style, their vocabulary, their culture, personality differences, and that reflect and match the candidate's energy level. So always make sure to sit erect with an open and alert posture, fully facing the candidate and leaning in slightly. Okay, don't sit like you are waiting for let me not say something funny, but sit properly, okay? Sit properly, remain focused. You should always show a welcoming facial expression, okay? So that you don't put people off, so that you make them feel comfortable. Always make sure that you even talk with an even tone that is consistent in volume and at a moderate pace. Don't whisper. So they'll be telling you, come again, pardon, a million times. That shouldn't be the situation, okay? Now, also observe candidates' body language in the interview, like we have said. Make sure that both what they are saying verbally is what they're saying, what their body language is saying non-verbally is matching what they are saying verbally, okay? Because in an interview, you should always notice the following about the candidate's body language: loudness of speech, tone, animation, inflection, gestures, posture, facial expression. All of these things help you to know if this candidate is okay, if this candidate is lying. There's a way that for every question you ask, the person is practically scratching their head. You know that something is wrong somewhere, okay? Find out if they are worried, if they are tense, if they are sad, if they are unhappy. Did anything happen before this interview? Stuff like that. It can help a person to relax and give you the right answers during an interview. Now, let us take a multi-choice question rather. All right, so my question is this: which of the following types of interview involves a series of interview? Which of these involves a series of interview? This is to check if we are still together, or if some of you have left me and traveled to some island in your mind. So let me know. Let me know if you are still with me or if you have left me. Thank you, Doyin. Adebosote, you are the first person to give me my answer. Thank you. Sequential. Yeah, sequential interview. That is correct, everybody. Landing camera. I see your question will come to it at the end, okay? Billy David, Benedicta Etuoku, all right. Then Edegan, thank you so much for all your answers. You guys are super smart. Yes, Favor Econo. Yeah, thank you. The answers are correct. So let's talk about body language cues in interviews, okay? Study has shown that a person conveys a lot more through his or her body language than through actual words, okay? There's a lot to see through a body language more than actual words. So when you interview someone, you could look out for the following non-verbal cues and interpret the meaning and mindset of the candidate as opposed to what he or she is trying to convey through their words. Now, when you're about to interview somebody, a person just folded their arms tight in front of them, you know, the person is trying to be defensive. And what could make somebody to be defensive? Maybe the person feels attacked or feels worried or anxious or stuff like that. So there are things that help us, and that's what we're going to look into right now, okay? Now, these are some body languages, and we're going to be looking at each of them in detail. Frowning during interview is the person is giving that body language, but that body language is saying something. All right, so raised eyebrows, looking away, smiling, compressing the lips, touching the hand to the face, leaning back in a chair. So let's look at them and see what they mean. When somebody is frowning during an interview, this shows that the candidate is finding it hard to concentrate or has a lack of clarity regarding the subject being discussed, or something happened to them. Maybe they lost their phone or they had an accident on their way. So you have to find out what it's all about, okay? Raised eyebrows. This may show a sign of intensity or uncertainty. You should, as a recruiter, make sure that when this cue is displayed, you understand this nonverbal cue in the context of the subject being discussed. Sometimes the person is not sure of the question you asked, and the person is raising an eyebrow to understand. Some other times it is they are feeling pressured, so that shows a sign of intensity. So it could mean different things. Understand what it is. Another one is looking away. When somebody's always looking away or even scratching their head, okay, you know that nothing is really itching them, but just scratching their head whenever the question comes. This can be considered to be a sign of deception or lying. However, you should carefully analyze this cue so that because people can look away for different reasons. There are people that if they want to remember facts, they look away. Some others, if they want to lie, they look away. So find out which of this is happening. Because if you ask the person questions that do not demand that, there will be no need for the person to lie, and the person is also doing the same thing, it could mean that that is just the person's style and body language, okay? Another one is smiling. This is always a positive sign that shows that the candidate is enjoying themselves and they feel confident about themselves, okay? That is why we always encourage anyone who's going for interview, try to smile, but don't smile sheepishly or foolishly. Just smile, just moderately, so that you do not look like a clown. Okay, so compressing the lips is a sign of frustration and a sign of confusion, okay? Another one is touching the hand to the face. When someone's always touching their hands to their face, is also a sign of confusion. They're trying to wonder what's going on here, what's happening. Yes, Edegan said also some people cannot maintain eye contact because they are special. I understand that. That's true. That's very, very true. Okay, Manuela said, that smile is usually opposite for me. Why is it opposite? Would you prefer a frowning person to a smiling person doing an interview? A smile never does anybody any harm. Just a little smile, like I said, not smiling foolishly or like a clown. when you meet somebody, the person smiles and is confident. The person does not need to smile too much. Moderation is key in everything that we do, right? So leaning back in the chair when somebody's being asked a question, when somebody's being recruited, is a sign of rejection and shows that the candidate is already having negative feelings, both about themselves and about the interview. Okay, Emanuela said that that for her, when the question hits her as an interviewee, that is usually a way she covers up by smiling. As a matter of fact, what people read your smile as, they read it as, they see it as self-confidence, okay? They see it as you are happy with what's going on, you are calm about it. Now, in the smiling, you are the one who knows that it is a cover-up for you, right? That is why even when we're training those people for interviews, training people to get jobs, we'll tell them smile, because it is only you who knows what the smile means. You're the one who knows that the smile does not have the answer. That you're smiling because you don't have the answer. But the person interviewing you would not read it as such, and it's always a good one. So if you smile when you're unsure, you're the only one letting out your secret. Though when we interview, when we see you, when they smile, we see like, she knows this one, or she's good, she's confident. That's what the recruiter will see, okay? Some introverts don't like eye contact. Yes, they're usually shy, but if they are shy, they'll be shy all through. They won't only be shy when they are asked questions. So when a question is thrown at you, every time a question comes to you, you are looking away. Is also an indication. Njideka said, please, can you slide the smiling again? Can I slide the smile? Like I should show the point where I talked about smiling. Yeah, it's a positive sign and show that the candidate is enjoying himself or is feeling confident. Okay, so let's go back. Now I have another multi-choice question, just to make sure our attention is intact. Which of the following is a sign of deception or lying? Can I have your answers in the comment section, in the chat room? Which of these is a sign of deception or lying? Everybody seems to get it. Looking away, that's it. Thank you, landing camera. Thank you, Jenny, Esther. Thank you, Edegan. Looking away. Oh, see, Favor O'Connor has a real life experience. She said, a mild and confident smile is important. Yeah, very important. It has once won me a job. You don't always know how to keep, I don't always know how to keep the smile away. You can control it, okay, because it's mild and confident. And everyone who is recruiting, it endears you to the person recruiting you. So that's correct. Well done, everybody. Looking away, very correct. Now, the second to the last topic, as we begin to get close to our break time and final questions, because this session is supposed to be wrapped up by 3 p.m. So let's dig in. What are the qualities of a good recruiter? Let's see it. Number 1, good communication skills. Number 2, ability to work hard. Another quality is team player, okay? Then another one is strong sales skills. You should be able to sell the organization well. Another one is that you should be capable of cultivating and building strong relationships. Very correct. Another one, good research skills. You should be able to research properly. Another one is implementing best practices. Remember, we talked about, okay, not with me in particular, but with IIPM, you were taught about HR ethics, right? So we need to, as human resource professionals, we need to implement best practices, okay? We should be able to update knowledge by keeping an eye on modern trends, technology, tools, and practices. We should find out how are people getting results now? How are people getting more efficient and productive in what they are doing, human resource-wise, okay? This is something we need to look into. So have strong follow-up skills, be an active listener, be people-friendly and approachable, have great product of your knowledge or organization, okay? So that if there's a question that comes up, you know what to do. And then have good influencing skills, okay? Have a good network of people and be well connected. Now, another quality of a good recruiter is that they are self-driven and self-motivated. You don't need to wait for another person to encourage you or motivate you, because you're the one that's going to motivate others in the work they're doing, okay? So have good negotiation skills. You see, like Ehi's case, if the person that interviewed, that recruited Ehi, Irebu, right? If that person had good negotiation skills, they would have been able to help her understand what exactly they are going to pay, instead of just sending a letter that is ambiguous, that does not have much clarity. Okay, a good recruiter is also techie savvy. You need technology to be able to be very efficient. You need to be self-confident. Imagine if the person you are interviewing, the person you're trying to recruit, has more confidence than you recruiting the person. Well, what do you think will happen? Maybe just let me just paint a very funny scenario. So somebody you're going to recruit comes and sits in front of you, and then you are the one shying away. You are the one that is recruiting, where the one shying away, instead of being keen and focused on the person to be able to see the both verbal and non-verbal cues while interviewing. You are the one shying away, looking out, and the person that you're interviewing is now the confident one. That is called an upside down arrangement, an aberration, and a misnomer. That's what it is, please. All right, so a recruiter has good marketing skills, is focused and target driven, and can handle stress and pressure. Also has good time management skills. You will not recruit somebody, do interview from morning till nightfall. That is not so that you can get the best candidate for the job. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, uncle. That's not how it works, auntie, please. So you have to do it with record time, okay? A good recruiter is good at multitasking. Several things will come up in the course of recruiting. You should be able to manage those things well. All right. Always portray an open and positive body language. Has good social media skills. You should also have good questioning skills, good interviewing skills, and good rapport. You should be good at rapport building. You should be able to make the person in front of you comfortable while still answering your question. All right. So let's take a look at a case study as we begin to wrap up this session. I'd like us to take a look at a real life example as we begin to wrap up. So we're looking at the importance of a good follow-up skill for a recruiter. Now let's talk about Judge Smith. Judge Smith is an HR executive in Globus Incorporated. Recently, a vacancy opened up in the quality team for a senior software tester. Judge received a lot of resumes from applicants who were interested in applying for this same position. Judge carefully screened each resume and shortlisted 5 candidates to call for an interview. However, Brad Thornton, the quality manager who would be taking the first round of interviews, was on a week-long vacation. So Judge informed the shortlisted candidates that he would get back to them about the schedule of the interview. 3 weeks later, Judge received a call from Kate, one of the shortlisted candidates. Kate was calling Judge to find out if the interview fixed had been rescheduled. Judge then realized with a start that in his busy day-to-day workload, he had completely forgotten that Brad had returned a week ago from his vacation. Judge was supposed to schedule the first round of interviews for the software tester position 2 weeks ago when Brad returned. George calls Brad immediately to fix the interview schedule. However, Brad informs George that he's going on a business trip for 2 weeks, so he would be able to conduct the interviews only after he returns. Brad is disappointed that George didn't schedule the interviews in the earlier 2 weeks after he returned from his vacation and had some free time available. George then informs Kate about the delay due to the circumstances. In the given situation, you can see that George greatly lacks follow-up skills. If George had followed up and kept a tab on Brad's return, he would have been able to schedule the interviews when Brad was free. Due to George's lack of following up, the recruitment of the senior software tester was postponed by almost a month. Such delays due to incompetence of the recruiter adversely affects not only the career of the recruiter, but also adversely impacts the working of the organization. Therefore, apart from good screening skills and good interviewing skills, good follow-up skills are equally important to become a good and efficient recruiter. All right? So we've learned a few things about a recruiter. Now, please, I'd like you to tell me in the chat room, from everything we've shared, what are the qualities, the good qualities of a recruiter that you know? Just feel free to share in the chat room, okay? As we begin to talk about the last topic for today. So we're talking about the last topic for today. This is wrapping up. Now, the last topic for today is, who is a talent acquisition specialist? Don't forget that this module is on talent acquisition, all right? And from this module, we've taken you around from the point of organizational planning. We took you to human resource / manpower planning. We took you to recruitment and selection. And now we are wrapping up with who is a talent acquisition specialist. Now, the targeted recruitment and acquisition of high-performing teams is known as talent acquisition. So talent acquisition is all about the recruitment, targeted recruitment of high-performing teams. Hence, organizations usually hire a talent acquisition specialist who specializes in talent acquisition. Such a talent acquisition specialist specializes in doing what? In identifying, approaching, and recruiting top-performing teams from the competitors of an organization. That way, they can have the best hands working within the department or the organization, okay? They can have the best hands working in the department, and that's why we usually hire a talent acquisition specialist. So I want to believe that with you going through this module 3 in IIPM under the Global Human Resource Management course, I believe that you can look out for the job of a talent acquisition specialist and become one, okay? So that you can be hired. You can be hired to identify and recruit top performing teams with what you know, okay? There's always room for development of knowledge. You can improve on your knowledge so that you are not just a human resource professional, but you can also be a talent acquisition specialist. It's an area of specialization under human resource management. So you can decide to push that avenue further and become the best version of yourself. Now it's time for one more, in fact, the last multiple choice question I have for you today. Okay. So the role of talent acquisition specialist is similar to that of a traditional recruiter or headhunter. However, the role of such a person is highly crucial and of strategic importance to a business. Generally, such a person works in close conjunction with a company's executive management. The major advantage of such a recruiter is that it helps to bring in high-performing people into the organization, which leads to greater efficiency and effectiveness in the working of our team. So, time for my question, the last one for today. What does a talent acquisition specialist do? A, acquires top performing teams. B, acquires newly formed teams. C, acquires high performing companies. D, acquires low maintenance team. What is your answer? Ding, 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 ding. What is your answer? Yes, I have answers rolling in. Yeah. Okay, Edegan got it correct. Victor Okine, where have you been? You got it correct. Thank you for responding. Sikira, yeah, correct. Kate Smith, correct. Favor O'Connor, correct. You guys have answered all my questions correctly today. Thank you so much for answering my questions. Now it is time for us to practice all that we have learned about today, or recruitment skills. Are you ready for the practice? All right, this class ends in just a few minutes. Okay. So let's look at this case study that we are going to use to practice. Let's practice with this, okay? This is practice time. You have been given the responsibility of hiring a new customer service executive with no prior experience for a reputed telecom service provider. Now, let me ask you, what are the possible sources from which you could find suitable candidates? Second question, what are the key skills that are required for this job? And number 3, what are the possible interview questions or tests that you can use for selecting a candidate? Now, I'm going to give this option, this opportunity to 3 different people. Please answer only one question. Out of the 3 questions, answer only one question. I'll be taking just 3 questions, and then we'll take the final case study and wrap it up. Okay? I hope you enjoyed my class. Okay, I enjoy your presence too. You are very interactive. So thank you. All right, so let's do this, everyone. It's question time, practice time. Let me know if you have any question. If you have any answer to my question, rather. Okay. What would you do? Oh, thank you, Prof. All right, so there's a question before us. Yes, I have Mr. Simon's hands up. Mr. Simon, you have been unmuted. Kindly share with us your answer.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll just take answers to the number 1 question. What are the possible sources from which you could find suitable candidates? All right, basically this is looking at the job boards. So I'll first of all go through LinkedIn. I'll do referrals, use Indeed, some of these notable job boards basically. Use my HR group forum, and also call for referrals. So most of the times referrals can be more of a suitable candidate when you give out the job description to the person. So the source is through LinkedIn or other job boards that are accessible to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So basically you're just going external without checking our internal team, right?
Well, internal. Well, okay. Definitely, I can't jump the external. The internal. So maybe my going external, it's after looking through the internal, and probably I didn't get the right hand to fit in. I'll just go through the one
exactly. Exactly.
After the steps first is through the internal.
That's correct.
I cannot get the right person, and then I'll now look external.
All right, that's very correct. All right, thank you for answering our question. All right, who is next? Who is raising their hands next for question 2 and 3? What are the key skills that are required for this job? Remember, I'm looking to hire a new customer service executive for a telecom service provider. Who is giving us answers to question 2 and 3? Anyone? Where are all our smart people? Please come around. I'm waiting for your hands to rise. Let it not be the way we are waiting for dollar to reduce. Oh, Mr. Simon, you have answered before. I'd like another person to answer. So I see your raised hand and I'm not calling you this time. Where is everybody? Where is everybody? This class will end in less than 5 minutes. Can we do this together? Is it that we don't understand the question? Should I break down the question? Please answer my questions. Okay, Manuela says she's on transit, that's why she can't speak. Okay, I have an answer for number 2 from Favor O'Connor in the chat room. She said the necessary skills must include effective oral and written communication skills. Yes, because we are looking to hire a customer service executive. That is very, very correct. Yeah, I have somebody here, Mr. Victor Okine. Your hands were raised. Where did it go? I thought I saw a raised hands and now it's disappeared. Yeah, it's back. So, Mr. Victor Okine, you have my full attention. Please unmute.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you.
Good afternoon. It's nice to hear from you.
Yeah, yeah, truly speaking, talking of the needed skills for customer service. Of course, you need somebody who is number 1, as in communication skills.
Yeah.
And then emotional intelligence skills. That's number 1 or 4.
Yes.
Or that one encompasses everything. The emotional intelligence encompasses everything.
That's right. You're speaking from experience because you've been in my emotional intelligence class, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because you know, with that, the person coming to you with even any form of complaint, with that emotional intelligence skills of empathy, you know how to handle the person, even how to talk to the person.
That's correct.
Even if you are not the right person to get the problem solved, you know where to direct the person to. And the way you even talk to the person, should the person even come with anger, you calm the person down, and then just for the person to just, cool down temper, all that. Yeah. And also asking questions where the person tells you about all the problems encountered or whatever, then you just even ask questions after, based on what the person has told you, just to show that indeed you are listening to the person. And again, there must be this kind of eye contact service, so emotional intelligence, encompasses all that. So
all right, thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
That was good. Thank you. Now I have Professor Taiwo gave his answers in the chat room. He said, I dropped my answer since, but not read. Okay, thank you for repeating the post so I can see it. He said, key skills required include good interpersonal relationships and emotional intelligence. That's very, very correct. All right, so for question number 3, what are the possible interview questions or tests that you can use for selecting a candidate? Anyone with answers to question number 3? Okay, from the chat room, I have another answer from Philippa Cisse, who said effective communication skill, ability to be calm and patient, should possess emotional intelligence skill, good, should have good listening skills, yes, should have great knowledge of the company's policies regarding customer relationship, very, very important. Yeah, Mr. Simon Salif said one skill is missing. Please let us know in the chat room. Let us know in the chat room. All right. Okay. So question number 3, who is giving us answer to question number 3? Question number 3. Mr. Victor, raising your hands again. I want somebody who has not answered my question to answer this time. Just one question, just one more question remaining. Okay, Mr. Simon Salif said good telephone etiquette, very important. Mr. Victor Kine mentioned something like that. He said, so that if somebody is angry, you know how to respond to the person. That's very good. Question number 3, Professor Taiwo said oral interview. So this is the way through which you want to select your candidate. That's fine. That's fine. Please let's know if there are more answers to that question coming from people who have not answered questions before as we begin to wrap up. So we have a final case study. Richard Bronson is an HR executive who takes care of recruitment in Helium Incorporated. So what are the possible sources from where Richard can find candidates for Helium? And we have taken care of that, right? We've talked about the internal and the external. And what attributes should Richard develop to gain good interview skills? So we've talked about the interview skills already in the practice. And I'd like us to practice more case studies, okay? As we begin to summarize, we've talked about recruitment skills. We've talked about selection process. We've talked about recruitment process. We talked about the approaches to recruitment. We talked about the sources of external and internal recruitment. And in the course of this session, we talked about sources of internal recruitment, which include transfers, promotions, demotions, and upgrading. We also talked about the sources of external recruitment that involves advertising, employment agencies, schools, colleges, and professional institutions, casual applicants, social networking sites, and referrals. And we also talked about the approaches to recruitment. We talked about using the internal recruiters or employee referral or employment agencies or traditional agencies or niche recruiters. And we also talked about executive search firms or headhunters. We also talked about the recruitment process, where we said you have to identify the vacancy, prepare a job description, advertise the vacancy, manage response, shortlist candidates, arrange interviews, conduct the actual interviews, and then finally make a decision. We also talked about the selection process, where we said you had to start with a preliminary interview as the first step, after which you have selection tests, employment interviews, check the reference and background, then have selection decision, then medical examination, give a job offer, employment contract, and then finally evaluate the selection process. And we also talked about the case studies and the practices and that we mentioned. And it is on this note that we can say that we have successfully come to the end of Module 3 of the Global Human Resource Management Level 1. Thank you, and thank you everyone for being a part of this class. Thank you for all that you did. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for your chats. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning. Thank you for contributing. I enjoyed this class so very much. And I'll be wrapping up. Let's remember that we still have another class for today. So it does not mean that this class has not ended for the day. And attendance will be shared much later. We're going to be having a short break. We're going to be having a short break. So I want to say thank you, everyone, for being a part of this class. The next class will be resuming by 3:30. Let me confirm that timing. Please take attendance for today's class. The link for attendance will be shared on the platform. So the next class after now would be the rounding off of compensation and benefits planning. All right, so please make sure you take your attendance. It's on now. The links have been shared. Take your attendance. Once again, thank you so much, everyone. Yes, Billy David Urbanos, he said, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Professor Taiwo said, thanks for the highly inspiring class, ma. Thank you so, so much. Kate Smith said, thank you so much, ma. Thank you too for being in class. Mr. Victor Okine, he said, thank you so much for your excellent delivery. Thank you so much. Edegan, why are you opening your eyes? What happened? All right, Chinyere Iwu, yeah, thank you so much, Chinyere Iwu. You've been in my class several times. Thank you so much. Favor Connor, thank you so much. Please, what's your name again? My name is Mrs. Ifeoma Eze, Pastor Mrs. Ifeoma Eze, and I'm a faculty member with IIPNI. All right. So, Mr. Simon Salifu, thank you so much. Yeah, God bless me. Amen. Thank you so much. All right. So let's, Mr. Landing camera, please, can you repost your question? I remember, I'm trying to find the question. This is something you can repost. I'm trying to find it. Yes, I've seen your question, landing camera. It said, what is the implication of attaching a high fee on an application form